Hey, what's up everyone? It's been an absolutely crazy week across the entire country. Hope you guys can take a little second to sit down, relax, maybe learn something today. Very cold out here, up here in Connecticut, but this week has been crazy for the rest of the country because everyone's been getting these massive storms. So I wanted to take a second, sit down with you guys and really explain, do you actually need snow tires? Before I get into that, really quick, this is the last week for you guys to enter our giveaway. We are giving away 2 different FactionFab products, the pitch mount and for the engine, and then also their axle back exhaust. So if you guys have not yet, please take the time, hit the link in the description below, enter that giveaway before time runs out. But first, before I get into the video, let's drink some coffee. Oh yeah. So how do we even start talking about this topic? How do we answer this question? Crazy weather events like this are just gonna be more and more common. So let's just start at what exactly is a snow tire. So I'm gonna put up a picture on the screen here of the current Blizzaks that I use from Bridgestone. Great snow tire, have them on my Subaru WRX. A snow tire is a dedicated tire to operate within a specific temperature range with a specific tread pattern that is good for both ice and snow. When you say a snow tire, it really is talking about a winter tire, a specifically winter tire that has snow and ice conditions. So a snow tire is not only dedicated for snow. Those are studded snow tires. Those are a little bit more intensive for heavy snow, heavy ice, things like that. For a standard snow tire, what it really is doing is you have a winter specific tire that's going to be great at keeping you safe on the roads. It's going to increase your braking performance, it's going to increase traction and curves at any kinds of speed with any kind of slippery, cold, snowy, icy conditions. The key part of that a lot of people don't really understand, and let me branch off into explaining the other kinds of tires as well now, is that specific operating temperature, the intended operating temperature, is absolutely key. If we go to the other extreme, let's go to summer tires. So I have on my car, for my summer tires, I have their Continental Extreme Contact Sports. They're a dedicated summer tire. They're amazing performance. They're really great. I love them. But they have a limited capacity to what temperature they can safely operate at. If you look at, and I'll actually link down below, there's this video I've seen where they compare the stopping distances and braking distances difference on slippery surfaces between different tire types, depending on the temperature. There's a specific point where summer tires, it just gets too cold for them to safely keep traction, and they'll just keep sliding. So for my car, for my tires, I believe that cutoff is right around 40 degrees Fahrenheit, ish. So, once you get below that specific threshold, it doesn't even matter about whether or not there's rain, ice, snow on the ground, on the roads. It doesn't matter. Once you get past that, below that threshold, there is a different kind of tire compound that is better suited. So when people, slide off the roads in the morning, when it gets really cold, if there's an extreme weather condition, slide off the road, it's not always because of the moisture or because of the ice. It could just be because the temperature of the tire, the intended operating temperature of the tire, is outside of the range of what the current temperature is of the ground that you're driving on. So let's shift into the middle now. Let's talk about all-season tires. All-season tires are the best of both worlds. On one side, you have the summers, which have amazing performance, great traction. They're gonna be really comfortable, soft compound, but the downside on those is that generally the tread wear is going to be pretty, it's gonna go faster because it's a softer compound. On the opposite side, we have the winter tires, snow tires, and then the studded snow tires, which are a bit more extreme. So we have the winter tires, but those again have their own specific operating temperature, intended operating temperature range. So for those, you can actually see negative effects if you go too high in the temperature on those. Again, they're harder compound, they're made to push down through the snow. You're essentially, when you think about it, it's like the difference is running on snow and flip-flop versus cleats, right? Cleats are gonna push down, you're gonna have more weight across less contact points on the ground, which means that it pushes those contact points further down. So on those winter tires, the snow tires, if you're using those during the summer, when it's very, very hot, let's say you're using them in 80, 90, 100 degree weather, you're actually going to wear down those tires much, much faster than you would a all season or summer. So all of these tires have their own specific operating temperature ranges and intended uses. So if you use those outside of those uses, they're just gonna be pretty much, useless. They're not gonna keep you safe. So let's go into the middle, all season tires. For anyone in the middle of the country right now that's freaking out and thinking we're gonna get more snow, this is gonna be more common occurrence, can I safely run summer tires full time on my car? What if this happens, The number one solution for you guys worried about that, just choose a performance all season tire. So up on the screen right now is the General G-Max AS05. And these are all season tires they're ultra high performance all season tires from General that I've used on my car specifically. I ran them for a year and a half through actually 2 different winters, and they held up great. They have right in the middle of the road, really good tread wear. All season tires usually are just kind of great across the board. Will they be slightly less better in snow than a dedicated snow tire? Yes. Will they be outperformed on the track in the hot conditions by a dedicated summer tire? Yes. But for across the board general performance, for braking distances, for basically being able to be used in any temperature pretty much. They have really good tread wear, and they're gonna be a really good economic option. That's the reason for these all season tires. And yes, there are, more normal, commercial all season tires. There are touring, there are cross countries. All of those are gonna be completely fine for a normal car. For those of you guys with performance cars, if you want, there are some really good performance oriented all season tires that can still handle pretty much, a couple inches of snow pretty easily. Their operating temperatures won't fall off unless it's below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. For those of you, in Canada or something. So for the vast majority of you, these all season tires I have up on the screen right here, those are going to be probably the best option. And what are some of those options? Well, you have, personally, I believe in 3 really good all season tires for performance side only. There are, again, commercial ones. You have the General G-Max AS05s, which are going to be the cheapest, the most budget oriented. General is actually owned by Continental, so they're just a slightly more budget option, but the tire compounds and the engineering that goes into them, they're really good. One step up from that is going to be the Continental DWS, which are the Extreme Contacts, the all-season version, and they'll actually have a really good tread wear indicator. It says DWS on the tire itself, and when the S is worn down, the imprint of that letter is lower than the others. And so as you use the tire, once the S disappears, okay, I've lost too much tread for these to safely be used in the snow. So last tire I would recommend is the Michelin Pilot All Seasons. I'll put those up, the exact name right here, but those are, of course, really, really good option as well. They perform beautifully across the board. But they are more expensive. At what point do you decide, or what point should you decide, I need a dedicated snow tire, a dedicated winter tire? Personally, I'm in the belief that if you have common storms if you have common snow, if you're, you hit that point in the country where, you're getting, even if it's just light snowfall, you get icing on the road, and you need to commonly travel for work. If you're out kind of farther away from, cities or things like that where your roads aren't plowed as frequently, that's when you should get a dedicated snow tire. If you're up in Canada, if you're up in Maine, if you're in Wisconsin, the really, really cold area that's getting tons and tons of snow, you should definitely consider actually going further than that and looking at a dedicated studded winter tire. Again, that's very specific circumstances for those of you, again, that don't have very well plowed roads. That's what you really need to safely travel. For everyone else, I really would suggest getting just the all-season tires instead. Let's talk about a couple final factors that should be brought into your decision. So one is your car front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive? Yeah, and yes, there is a difference between all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. So let's talk about all of those. Rear-wheel drive in the snow and ice is going to be the worst, especially when taking corners. You have to be very, very, very careful to modulate your throttle and braking evenly and slowly so that you don't kick the tail out. Even just during hard acceleration, you can fishtail pretty easily, which is fun, but if you're not trying to do it, it's pretty scary. So rear-wheel drive is going to have the least advantage. Front-wheel drive cars are actually not as bad as you'd think. They're much safer than rear-wheel drive cars, but they'll have a harder time getting out of, getting started moving if they're in a large snowbank or something like that. All-wheel drive cars are probably the best for commuting, for traveling long distances in snow and ice. Like Subaru, the all-wheel drive symmetrical, and then there's four-wheel drive. So four-wheel drive cars, when you put it into four-wheel drive, four-wheel drive itself is intended for technically off-road use. So when you're using four-wheel drive, you're gonna wear down pretty much all of your driveline components faster if you're on the road, just on the highway, turning around town, If you have that on, you're pretty much wasting the tread on your tires. So four-wheel drive locks your front and rear differentials. And so at any point with a four-wheel drive car, that needs to be sending power to one of the front wheels and one of the rear. And so what happens is if you take a tight turn with a four-wheel drive car in a city, you'll get tire bind or driveline bind because your wheels aren't able to rotate at different speeds from each other. With an all-wheel drive car, you have a center differential that actually changes the amount to each wheel. It's computer-based usually, and it can just mitigate that. So, of course, again, both of those, all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, if you're talking just, you're off-road, you're just trying to get traction, you're stuck in a snowbank, you're stuck in a snowdrift, trying to get out of your parking spot or something like that, those cars will have much, much, much more of an advantage. But the thing you have to remember is when you're actually driving, if you're, moving, you're not just stuck in one place trying to get out. If you're just driving normally, there's a couple inches of snow on the ground, an all-wheel drive car with cheap, bald, even high-end summer tires, it's going to be outperformed by a rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive car that has dedicated snow tires or studded tires. That's just how it is. It doesn't matter, if you have four wheels spinning, if you're losing traction constantly, it doesn't even matter what kind of tire you have. So, in that sense, just keep in mind the selection of your tire almost always is going to be a more efficient way to make yourself safe on the road than what kind of car it is or what kind of drivetrain it is. So the last two factors you guys should keep in mind, ABS and traction control. These two things are kind of confused a lot. A lot of people don't really understand what they are, so I'll kind of explain it really quick. Coffee. By the way, yes, I have a mustache now. I got bored and decided to shave the beard. Anyways, so with ABS and traction control, those two things confuse a lot of people. So first off, ABS automatic braking system, when you are coming to a stop or trying to come to a stop and you slam the brakes, if you lock the brakes up, your wheels are locked, you're sliding, there's nothing to control the momentum of your car moving forward. What you have to do is modulate the brakes. On a car that doesn't have ABS, that's what you exactly have to do. You have to pump the brakes pretty rapidly to get the car to slow down and stop, because if you just slam them, you're gonna slide. ABS, you guys have all felt it. You slam on the brakes, it fluctuates the pedal really, really hard underneath your foot. It feels like it's, you know, machine gunned. So, what exactly an ABS system is doing is it's modulating the brakes for you so that it's rapidly pumping the brakes, releasing, stopping, and it overall is a much more efficient and safe method to get the car to stop versus just locking the brakes and letting the car slide. So that's what ABS is. Traction control is a very interesting one. Traction control lets the computer in your car dictate where power is being sent to. So for a front wheel drive car, that's which of the two front tires. With a rear wheel drive car, it's which of the two rear tires. With an all wheel drive car like a Subaru, like we have, or I have, it's all four. So if you have traction control on, and say you're suddenly, you know, you hit a patch of snow on the highway, they didn't plow it correctly. If suddenly two of your wheels lose traction and they start spinning faster than the rest of the wheels, the car will cut power to those wheels that don't have traction anymore, and it'll give it to the other wheels. So suddenly, you know, if that happens, you know, it's not gonna make your car spin. It's gonna keep your car going that same direction that it was, but right before you lost traction. So that's the point of traction control. Some people turn traction control off because they say they like to have the, you know, the feeling of it. You know, they like to know what their car exactly is doing. They like to do the control. On most modern cars, you know, the traction control system will automatically cut in once you're above a certain speed anyways. So the only real time that you should turn traction control off is if you're stuck in a ditch, if you're stuck in place trying to get your car out of a snowbank, of a little ice patch or something like that. Because at low speeds, traction control off, your car will automatically just keep sending power to the wheels. And if you're trying to get your wheels to spin to dig that snow out from under to hit the pavement, and you're trying to get that traction, that's what you should be doing. A lot of people, you know, they get stuck in these snowbanks and, you know, they're flooring it and you hear the engine revving, but you look and the tires aren't spinning at all. That's because traction control is on. The tires are locked up automatically by the computer because something senses that, you know, something's not right. I'm not sending power to these wheels. If you turn traction control off, you can get those wheels to spin and generate some momentum to get the car out. So, yeah, I think that's it. Sorry for ranting, but if you guys like this kind of video where I just kind of sit down and talk to you guys about different car concepts and things like that, yeah, let me know down below. I've thought about streaming for a little bit, maybe doing a couple live streams. If you guys want to see some live streams, let me know. Again, quick reminder, if you have not, this is the last week to enter our fundraiser. Again, if you guys haven't yet, go down in the description. It takes just a couple clicks to enter the giveaway. This is the last week you can enter. We'll be doing some more announcements on it in the next 2 weeks, but who the winners are, you know, things like that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully some of you guys learned some stuff about, you know, how traction control works, how different tires are designed, and, you know, what their purposes are, when it's safe to use one versus the other. So cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in our next video next week.